Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Silverline's Silver Sunday this Sunday on January the 7th, 2023. I am your host, Roland Man. I'm trying something a little bit different this time. I'm going to bring everybody onto the stage one at a time, just because that's what I want to do. And since my thing right there says head honcho, I get to do that. So first, I'm going to bring on the top troublemaker, Mr. Tom Mason. How you doing tonight, Tom?
I'm good, Roland. How are you? Very excited about today's show.
Court jester, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to change it every week, I decided.
Oh, okay. We'll see. All right. I'm going to make a note. We'll see how long that lasts.
I'm going to have to get a dictionary or a thesaurus.
Those are online now.
What? Oh, okay. Are you one of the younger kids now?
I have mine. Oh, look what happens to be within. Also joining us tonight, I can't get it back at the shelf. Also joining us is our regular Mr. Roberta Conroy.
Hi, not a Mr. Hello.
Roland's having trouble tonight.
It's a good start. Only
how are you tonight,
from
Roberta?
here. I'm good.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Tommy is on his way, I think. But we have a Wednesday regular joining us tonight because of our special guest tonight, Mr. David Rios. What's up, Dave?
Hey.
Hello. Tuesday regular.
I'm sorry, Tuesday
West
regular.
Coaster. West Coast.
Yeah. You're the West Coast bunch. Yeah.
And Dave and I are both in a serial killer's hotel room, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah. And finally, our special guest for the night, who I am excited to talk to and ask all sorts of fun Malibu coloring department question, because we know the reason that Marvel bought Malibu was for the coloring department, right?
They wanted Mike Giles. That's why.
Here's
Mike.
Mr. Mike Giles. What's up, Mr. Mike? I'm gonna put you right here on top.
Look, I found my hat.
Oh,
Look at
check
you.
that out. Hold on,
There
let me
you go.
see.
That's the pre-Ultiverse hat.
That's
Look at
great.
that.
I know, right?
Wow.
I
That's
was
great.
looking. I used to have the sweatshirt. I couldn't find that tonight.
Believe it or not, I still have, I think, 2 or 3 of those sweatshirts.
Do you have the baseball shirt?
I do not. I don't have one of those.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, thinking back on it, we made some cool jackets too, didn't we?
We did a couple of things. We did a Spider Prime jacket,
Yeah.
which I think Chris Alm still has.
Yeah.
And we did. I know we did something else because Will McGuire was always trying to come up with fun stuff for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I had one of those jackets, but I don't remember. It wasn't a Spider Prime one, but I can't remember what I might have done with it. Yeah, it's funny because the sweatshirts, I had given one to my mom, and I look at that. Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
You
wait a minute.
have-
That's
pretty awesome.
That's just Spider-Man.
Oh,
That is
okay.
cool.
Oh, wait. Here's a call out for
There's a rocket one. Yeah.
Robert.
That's right, the
Conti.
rocket jacket.
Hold on. I got
Nice.
more.
he's diving into the archives.
He is. Welcome to the Mike Giles retail show.
Yeah.
That's like the other time when you were bringing up the Ultraverse titles and people were like, I brought out, I just happen to have this
I've got
Prime
this.
on my desk right now.
Right. And finally joining us here, he's late, but we still love him, Mr. Thomas Flormonte.
Yay.
Yeah, Tommy.
Boo. Boo.
All around con artist. Now I got to shift the logo again. So before we get too deep here, let me Sunday Top Center. Let me share this. Those of you who have comic shops, go to your comic shop and tell them in the latest catalog they can find a copy of Kalis #1. It's going to be in comic shops, as you can see, March 13th. So get that ordered. Kalis #1, written by Brent T. Larson, who is sometimes on the Wednesday shows. So you guys get over there, Kalis #1. Some of you might be saying, wait, did you do Trump's last month? We did. So they're going to be bi-monthly. So in the next catalog will be Trump's #2, and then we'll do
Monthly,
Kalis
but bi-monthly.
Yeah, they're what?
Silverline is monthly, but the books are bi-monthly.
There you go. Silverline is monthly, but the books are bi-monthly. Yes, that's the way to put it.
They're confused, is what you're trying to say.
So, Mr. Giles, we got all kind of questions for you tonight, but I'm going to ask the first one. I'm going to say, tell us your origin story. Tell us, do you like comics? I know you ran the coloring
That's
department.
the origin story? Do you even like comics? What are we doing on it?
You know.
So here's the deal.
It's funny you asked that because see, I got into comics because Dan Danko actually, and Dan brought me in. Honest to God, I hate to say this in front of your viewers, I wasn't a big comic book fan growing up, you know, and so I kind of was through osmosis when I got the job. As a matter of fact, when I was working there, one of the guys that worked for me reported me to say that I wasn't as into the comics as I should be.
You got in trouble.
Wait, when you were working at Malibu, this happened?
Yeah.
No way.
Was it me?
So basically,
No,
your story
I had hired
was
this
so you needed
intern.
a job. Is that what
He
the
was
deal
all
was?
mad at me because I didn't know the origins of all the characters, and I was like, "Well, I don't know."
Oh
man.
my gosh, I can almost no guesses, but I think I can guess.
Yeah,
You had a lot of non-comics people there too, because Carol Lamb didn't grow up reading comics, and I don't think Gerald De Victoria grew up reading comics. Did he?
I think Gerald did. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Gerald did.
I think Gerald
Right.
did because
But some of the colorists didn't.
bunch.
Well, what
No,
about you,
yeah, a bunch
Roberta?
of the colorists didn't.
Yeah, I read some. I wasn't as big into it as a lot of people were, but yeah, I definitely read them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
But-
we all know the famous ones, right? You know.
Yeah, but you know the thing about it is you don't have to like comics to be able to color them. You don't have to like comics to
I liked
manufacture
comic
them.
art. I liked comic art
more than I liked the stories at the time.
Also,
I guess that's the problem.
It's a weird gatekeeper kind of thing that you can't work in comics unless you know the origin of Spider-Man and Jack Kirby's middle name and all the other stuff. It's just
and Roberta brings up a good
his
point.
His middle name is King, right?
That's right.
The King. The King.
The King. No, but Roberta brings up a good point because that's the whole thing. I was in art school, and I was an artist, and I was trying to be an artist or whatever. And the comic book art, the
Zeta and all
pop
that
culture of it all was really what brought me into it.
Really.
Now, were you at CSUN also? Or
No,
Malibu?
I neither. I went to Purdue. And,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Chicken farm?
What's that?
The chicken farm?
Pretty much. Actually, it's just down the street because I'm back in Indiana right now. And I'm out on a farm at the moment. But I came from Purdue. I moved out to LA in '93. I answered an ad in the paper, and it said color comic books, Malibu, or didn't even say Malibu, just say color comic books, $7.25 an hour. And I had no job. I moved to California like a week before, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go do that. I sat up the night before. I put together my little portfolio. I went and saw Dan Danko. There must have been 200 people trying out for this job. They hired, I think, Tom probably remembers, maybe 6 of us at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure, because the key for us was the portfolio, but also the personality.
Yeah, and that's what Dan said.
We-
He said he wasn't going to hire. He told me later. He said I hired you because I thought we could hang out and drink beer later.
No,
right.
That does sound like you, Mike.
Yeah. That's about me. So,
Pop says, "Hey, yo, what's up, Pops? Good to see you." I'm going to try. It looks like, guys, we are actually live on Instagram. I can't confirm that just yet. I'm going to try to while Mike's answering some more questions. But this will be our first time ever on Instagram. So if you are joining us from Instagram, hello and welcome to our streams. We are excited to be on Instagram. Our first night there. So
what's the name? Just
Silverline Comics. Yeah. Oh, looks like we went off. I can see a little
just
connection.
As soon as I went
thing.
to look, you
well, I can see a little connection thing up on top, and as soon it disconnected, and as soon as we disconnected, we lost like 4 or 5
Thomas
viewers.
was trying to find us, and we go.
All right, so you interviewed with Dan Danko then at
I did. I went in that day. There was a lot of people trying out for this job, and I interviewed with Dan, and we sat down. I think I went through another interview with Tom and probably with Chris Ulm.
Yeah, you would have interviewed after Dan vetted you before and found out what kind of beer you drank. Then Chris and I would have done an interview together, basically.
Right, and
because he has different questions and I have different questions.
Yeah, I mean, Janelle was in charge at the time, Janelle Cruz.
Right.
And there was, I think it was me, Chris, Albert Calleros. I don't know. I can't even remember everybody. And Chen. Yep.
George Cox was there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
George Cox was there. I think George Cox was already there.
Right.
And
he came from Cal Lutheran.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we all just started, and I'll tell you, after we talked to all you guys, we took a test, and you remember those little Mac 2CIs or whatever they were with the tiny little screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it was like Photoshop version 1. And we put in there, and you guys said, "All right, color comic book." And I had never sat at a computer in my life.
Photoshop? What?
When I went to school, there was no computers, and so I took a mouse and I just took a little paintbrush and I colored in a page of Mantra, and
you're hired.
Yeah, that was it. It was terrible, and it wasn't too long after that.
They put you in charge.
Well, kind of, yeah.
You're a terrible colorist, but you're in charge.
Well, there ended up being 10 or 12 of us, and Janelle, what'd she do? She went off somewhere else. I think she went into sales or something.
No, she went to she became the chief designer for Jim, right? For yeah. Yeah, she was Jim's right hand.
Chadwick. And Lydia Nomura, that was the other one.
Right.
And it was between, I think, me and Lydia, and Dan and Lydia were dating. And there was something.
We can't say that. We can't say that. We're not in the office anymore.
And so I guess I was the lesser of the evils. And they put me in charge. But it was kind of a cool spot because at that point, none of us really knew Photoshop, and we were all learning it. Yeah. And we all had sleeping bags under the desks. We were there. I was newly married, or I wasn't even married yet. I was just about getting married. And we were sleeping in the office and working our tails off, trying to get the first Prime #1 out. And we finally did. And, you can look at Prime #1, you can tell it's the first attempt, but it came out all right. And little by little, we defined the processes. And I think became one of probably the best at the time coloring operation in the business.
Well, I think so too, because the thing is, we tried. So Dave and Chris and I had conversations with the Photoshop people, and we told them exactly what we wanted to do. We're going to scan black and white artwork into the computer, and we're going to color it on the screen. And they're like, "What?" And we so
that was Thomas Knoll, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. His name comes up when you open Photoshop to this day.
And we were trying to explain to them about computer coloring and show them the comics and how we wanted to do it, and they had no clue, and so we were really dependent on bringing in all of you, like all the art students we could find, and
that's how the background started. Because I would say probably 90% of us were not like comic book. I wouldn't say we weren't fans, but we weren't comic book industry people. Yeah, and we were all art students from various backgrounds. I was a painting sculpture major, and so it was the painting, the modeling, the graphic design, etc., that kind of brought that look to what we were doing. I think the only guy that was doing it successfully was Steve Olaf.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
And the Digital Chameleon guys, Laverne Kinzerski.
That's right.
And Chris Chuckery.
But they were just starting too. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
they were using their own homebrew software,
right?
Right.
Yeah, they had tied a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah.
Olaf had his proprietary software. And that's actually, like the look with the shadows, with the shape, with the fade going out. It was because that's all he could do. It wasn't because he was going for that look. And
that turned out to be the look we all wanted.
And everybody copied it. Right.
Because it was the limit of the software.
Isn't art always like a marriage between the problems of the technology and then the originality of the artist? It's going to make something look good.
Exactly. Well, Roberta, you remember, and Dave, you remember when we were first doing it, we couldn't get behind the black line very well, and then when it printed, it would come out, it looked terrible.
Yeah, you couldn't back the blacks up very well.
We figured out how to do that. Actually restrict it.
Not only did we figure it out, but remember the guys from Top Cow came in and tried to like they came in under a different guise, like a different name, and they were trying to steal it from us. The technology
that didn't work out too well.
How to do that?
Right. Yeah. I think eventually we just showed him because he hired like some of the people from our group.
Yeah.
Right.
And they Bite Kinzel went over there.
Yep.
Oh, did
they did.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not really proprietary software because everybody has access to it. It's really the operator who makes it happen.
How to use it. Yeah.
But like you were saying, they were not aware that that's how it would be used.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're asking the Photoshop people, say, I have a computer that does not have near enough memory in it to color these comic books, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
We need thousands.
I remember we upgraded to like 80 megabytes of memory, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" Or
crazy. Retromaniac James says, "Hi everyone, always love hearing more about Malibu. We'll stick around, Retro. You're going to hear a whole bunch. We're going to get all of the coloring secrets from Mr. Giles."
We were really dependent on like Glenn and Mozzie
Yeah.
sort of keep everything up and running and make sure that the computers were updated and could handle all the stuff that we were going to put in it.
I think
Yeah, I
Glenn's
mean,
watching right
like
now.
what was it like? So what did y'all start off with? Like 2.5? I think that's my first
Yes.
Photoshop that I used.
Yeah, it actually
2.5.
when
No,
I took that original test, I took it I think on 2.0 or 2.1.
Yeah. And
it
you know,
was-
no layers. It was all panels, and then
boy, did we
you know,
like
you could
3.
barely store one picture on your hard drive. Then you had to back it, you know, take it off,
Yeah, but
just so you could work all the next piece. It was nuts.
you could really tell when the software got upgraded and you could do new things because there'd be like a buzz through the office, in the coloring department. About, oh, look what I can do. I can do this. I can do that.
I remember, and I'm sure Roberta remembers this. I remember when they figured out how to do the color holds fairly easily.
That was a beautiful thing. No,
that was we were like, yes,
fantastic.
this escalates all of our
So
power
much
blast
better.
to another level, and
It made so much sense.
like all those ink pages I would send into you guys with the color holds and say, I want a color hold here, here, and here, and then I'd see it and come back and it's like, you guys went no. And then you just take it back.
No.
We're not doing it. Thomas, this is too.
Well, I'll tell you, at the time, there was probably, I don't know, 12 of us in those first few books, and it was a stretch to get 22 pages done.
I know.
And it was hard. And then the color holds, and then the KPT filters, everybody went crazy with for a minute.
I don't know why they tried this.
Everybody putting filters of stupid patterns over everything.
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
stop doing that. Stop.
I know.
Stop.
I hated those.
Just because it can do it doesn't. We don't need a gravel pattern over everything.
Yeah, but
patterns off.
That's what
Not
it
to
comes.
mention, there's so few of those that everybody's, like they're all familiar. So it's like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it looked like fire that was put in with a stamp.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I drew everything. I never used any of the filters because I didn't want to take the 10-minute break to watch the bar progress.
Right.
It's kind of like when you saw that same pattern on everything. It's like when everybody used Whiz Bang to letter their comics. It was always that one font.
Right.
I love Whiz Bang. It was really great. But there for a while, it's like what everybody just used. It's the same way with those filters. Yeah.
Well, that's why when Starkings came out with all of his
yes, we were like, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
Strange time.
anybody else have questions? I have a bunch of them.
I do.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah,
Ask
sure.
So then you moved up to be the guy who ran the coloring department.
Yeah. So this was pre-prime, pre the first issue coming out, and we were working toward that. And basically, we were just practicing. It was like what Roland said, somebody come up with something that was like, ooh, look what we can do. And, we'd all go to that computer and we'd figure it out. And, the whole thing with the Back in the Blacks came later because it probably took us, I don't know, probably 6 months before we figured out that the print was coming or the colors were coming through those blacks.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, one thing led to another, and we started hiring more and more people, and we started getting better, and we started getting the good computers, and we got the Quadras in, that was a big thing, right? And the big monitors, big old CRT monitors and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we realized, we've got 20, 30 computers working, and they cost a lot of money for us.
Electricity bill shot through the roof.
Right. So was it Tom? Was it you or was it Dave? Anyway, it may have been Scott Rosenberg, but we ended up going to a third shift. We had 3 shifts working. Yeah. And so we had this midnight shift, and I swear, Dave, were you on that for a minute?
I never was on the midnight shift. I was on the second shift, and eventually
I was on night shift.
I think it was. I think so. My memory is that
it was graveyard shift.
Somebody came to Chris and said, "We have more colorists than we have computers for, and we either need to budget for more computers, or we got to find a way to do it." And we don't think we had the money in the budget.
No,
to get
because they were
more computers.
expensive.
No. What it was is we had more comic books to color than we could.
Yeah, we needed the time.
That's it. Yes.
And so we decided instead of getting more computers, we'd hire another shift. But that was good, except I was like coming in all night long, and I swear half the time you guys were out there behind.
Wrong people. That's the wrong group.
The night shift was the party group.
It was a little bit of a party group, but they were good. That's the thing.
Yeah, they were.
Those the night shift. The best books were at the night shift.
We were all a bunch of hippies back then. What do we care?
So, as an editor, the problem I had with the night shift was communication was difficult. The graveyard shift, I should say, not the because a lot of times the evening shift.
I was a night shift,
and I was still there. So I could talk to them before I went home.
The overnight shift,
right? Right. But the graveyard shift, I wouldn't see them, and so communication was sometimes difficult. As an editor for that.
And we didn't have text, we didn't have email, we didn't have any of the modern technological conveniences.
No.
Well, we had Timbuktu.
That's when. What's that?
We had Timbuktu. Remember?
Timbuktu, right? Well, that's when the for me the management part of it got to be more and more involved, because that's when we started putting together teams. So we would have the shift leaders. So it was Eric was the second shift leader, and then the guy with the mustache. What was the
Bike?
What was his name?
No, you're taking a bike?
No. The guy that ran the overnight shift.
Yeah.
Remember him, Ron?
Barely, because I didn't work with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was an ex-Marine. He was a little scary guy. When I fired him, he had guns in his trunk, and when I fired, I took Eric with me, and I said, you got to go with me, because I'm afraid I'm not going to come back from this meeting.
Never get in the car.
He was a super guy, and it wasn't really firing him. I shouldn't say that. Had to let him go because we ended up getting rid of that shift eventually.
Yeah.
But it was just too much trouble, because like we're throwing sand, we were kind of rolling over ourselves. We were going too much without a lot of control. So we started putting in the team leaders, and that's where we got, the funny names of the teams, all the teams.
So I wanted to ask you how that all came about. Like, did you just vote on names, or?
No, because we divided up into, I think, 5 or 6 teams the first time.
Yeah.
And I thought you were part of that, Roberta.
I was I was part of some of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because each team had a leader, and so we basically said, hey, you guys can come up with your own team name. So we had like the Violent Hues.
Well,
yep.
So part of this, if I recall correctly, part of this was about credit in the comics. Is that we wanted to. What I kind of remember is that we wanted to find a way to give the colorist credits, but we couldn't list 8 names for and colored by all these people, right? And so so it came to the hey, let's get team names, and then the teams will be credited as the colorist, right? So that's my recollection of it.
That's what it was. And plus, it wasn't always this one team working on each one.
Right.
By the time at the height of
it was close
that
though.
department, I had 120 employees.
Right. Yeah.
That was the height of it. I mean, that included all the interns and whatnot, but it was a lot of people, and we had a lot going on. We were doing we were doing all the Ultraverse books, which was, I forget, how many was it a month, Tom?
Well, it was only supposed to be 4 or 5, but it ended up being like 8 or 9, because we needed the cash flow.
Right.
So you would get it's somewhere between 8 and 10 books a month, depending on what was coming out.
And
so,
then
time out though.
Go ahead.
Time out.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't more than that?
It was. Eventually,
because I'm thinking on a given month I had 6 to 8 books.
Yeah,
And Hank was the line editor.
4 at a time. It's like how many? I didn't.
Oh,
Even
but Roland,
Yeah, don't listen to me. I was never an editor, so
I think there were more
I had
than
0
that.
books.
Roland, though, weren't you also editing the actual Malibu, like the Star Trek?
Yeah, the Genesis books.
The other books that were
finished up.
beside
But
the
those
Ultraverse.
went away before I moved over.
But
to
the Star Trek, the licensed books were Panicia.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But we were coloring those. And
Right.
Yeah,
we
colored
were
everything.
we were doing 20 books at one point a month. Then we went up to 40 with the Star Treks and the Next Generation stuff and all that.
We did the Disney stuff. Remember that?
What was it?
The Disney. Some kind of Disney thing.
We brought in Disney. We did Sailor Moon.
Mhm.
We did some like side stuff. But then when Marvel came in, we went up.
We did everything.
We did everything. We were doing 1 month, or at one point we were doing about 100, 120 a month.
Yeah, it was really fast.
But it was also like it was the Ultraverse books, it was the Marvel books, it was the Marvel cards.
Yeah.
It was, just all different.
Also, the Ultraverse trading cards too.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got
There's
a
a
bunch
lot
of
of it.
those.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the print run sheets on those things.
Yeah. I think I
that's
have a
kinda cool.
page of one of them.
That's what we should do. I should come on here and just show you a bunch of the stuff I saved.
That'd be
I
fun
was
to
the last guy to leave. Everybody was gone.
They let you lock the door as you walked out.
So let's jump ahead. What was that? What was that like when you're the last guy out the door?
Man, I'll tell
He
you what.
had computers stacked on his back. He walked out with all kind of good stuff.
I did. We shipped a bunch out. You know what? It's crazy. I wish I wouldn't have done it. I still had one of the old G4 Quadras in this office where I'm sitting right now up until last week.
That's funny.
I think it's way past the time for you to get in trouble. You can tell
Statute of limitations is
That's right.
Yeah.
Way past.
You know what I did? Scott had that warehouse.
Nobody
right?
else is listening, so tell us.
Rosenberg had this warehouse. We moved everything over there, all the stuff he wanted. But there was still racks and racks in that storehouse that we had right there in the offices.
Yeah.
And when we moved out, that stuff went in the dumpster. And it was sickening.
Hardware?
Sick.
Hardware, comics, everything.
Everything. And
Well, I remember didn't we ship a whole bunch of our computers to Ireland?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes.
Okay.
Did you?
Well,
Didn't we?
It's part of the deal.
Unless they kicked them on the way out. I don't know.
Post Malibu.
Roberta ended up with a couple of them. So what she's drawing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, I think a lot of people did go home with a computer.
I have a story about. I have a little story about
Because
that.
it was.
Dave got a couple of.
The thing is that it was.
He did.
Sorry, Dave. I don't mean to jump in, but I did jump in. So too bad. But the thing is that when people left, we would always give away the older generation of computers,
right?
Because we never knew what to do with them. So it wasn't like people were walking out the door with computers and sneaking them out. It's like, well, if you're leaving, for God's sakes, please take a computer with you
because we need the space.
You remember, Tom? You may not remember. You guys upgraded and you sent me my first Mac. You're like, here, this way you can talk to us this way,
right? Yeah, because you weren't in the office yet.
And what I started doing at that point in time was sending you the disc instead. You said, don't print anything out on your crappy computer or your crappy printer anymore, Roland. Send me a disc and I'll print it out here.
Yeah, because you were still using some weird dot matrix.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like getting a telex.
Well, I remember I forget what his name. Who was the IT guy that was in
Glenn
charge?
Brown. Not Glenn Brown. Glenn
Bell.
Glenn Bell.
Right.
He's
Glenn
watching
Bell.
right now. I just told him that we were going to be doing this.
Glenn's wife. Glenn, reach out to me, man. We got to get you on here too.
Hey, Glenn knew everything.
I remember him saying though he was a PC guy. He worked through and kept everything afloat on the Mac side, but he wasn't really a Mac guy. So at the end when they were closing down, in Mike's era, he may be the last guy, but I was probably one of the second to last people. He's like, hey, anything, if you can get something to work from all these parts, go ahead and do it. And I started attacking those Apple II CIs or whatever that model was, and I actually ended up getting like 6 of them up and running.
Yeah.
So as we're heading out the door, I'm like, "Hey, these are working here.
Look what
Take
it
them." So
Well,
Well,
that's-
Tom Mason called me when you guys started throwing everything in the dumpster. Tom called me and he said, "Roland, they're clearing out the warehouse. There's probably books up there of Cat and Mouse and Miss Fury, Rocket." He said, "Go up there. They'll throw them away on the back because I guess it was legally required. You guys had to throw them away." But you just set them on the set. I don't know if Tom did it or Mike did it or who, but they were just sitting on the back, and I just picked them up. I came away with probably close to 1,500 to 2,000 books of stuff that I wrote.
Because I called R.A. Jones too, and I said, "Look, we have tons of books that you wrote that have been sitting in the back issue bin that are going to go away, unless you want them, and I'm happy to ship them to you." And so, and we would do that with other people as well, because it's just like I hate.
Yeah,
I know that. Well, I know it's wrong, but I'm a comic book person, and it pains me to throw comics in a dumpster.
Mhm.
If I know a person who wants them or who created them or who could use them, it's like I'll ship them to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I was. There were people from the neighborhood down the street that were coming over and raiding the dumpsters, and I was letting them. And then the management came in, Marvel came in and said, "You can't let them do that," and they ended up putting locks on the dumpsters.
Right.
Get out of here!
And I was like, "Well, let's at least recycle them." We couldn't even recycle. They had staples in the binders, But anyway. The point is, I have got you, Tom. And Dave Olbrich asked me to do this, and I never did it, but I'm going to do it. He asked me to do an unboxing. I have got all the stuff, man. I've got all the tear sheets from the printer from all the books, like
really
the print proofs, uncut.
Cool.
They're still in the 4-page up,
That's fun.
proofs. I've got the full sheets of the trading cards. I grabbed everything before it went in the dumpster. I was like, screw it, I'm taking it. And I brought it all home. That's where I think that hat came on. I was wearing, I got jackets and hats and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
Well, we'll talk because I'm working on my History of the Ultraverse book, so you'll.
I've got a bunch of the ash cans. I've got stuff from the conventions, stuff I haven't even seen. I've got a bunch of Cat and Mouse stuff rolling.
Cool.
Okay, now you made Roland's New Year.
Yes, you did.
I'll send it to you.
Please
Hey,
do.
by the way, my wife, while she was listening, she's in the other room. She said, "Did you guys ever see this video, Malibu Comics 1996 on YouTube?"
Probably
on YouTube.
It's me in a walkthrough. I look like a baby, but I'm doing a walkthrough of the offices.
Yeah,
right before we close
Post the
down.
link.
Yeah.
I don't know how you look at the link up here. Hold on.
Tell her to post it in the comments. Tell her to post the link in the comments.
Yeah.
Where's she watching? On YouTube?
Yeah, she's watching. Oh, wait. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, tell her to post the link.
That sounds familiar.
Hey, Melissa, if you're watching, see if you can do that. I don't know how to do that. But
what was it called? Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, it's called Malibu Comics 1996, and it's on YouTube.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I've got a really brief. It's not a complete walkthrough, but a really brief video of the Westlake Village interiors.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I went up on the weekend to show my. It wasn't long after I'd been hired, and I went up on the weekend and had a camcorder and did it for my parents so I could send it to them. Say, hey, this is where I'm working out in California.
Well, I'd like to see that.
I inherited when Jim Chadwick moved to Spain last month. I inherited all of his Malibu photos that he scanned in.
Oh, really?
So I've got tons of shots of all of us sitting around the office, but I've also got all the signature book photos.
Oh, how cool!
That's great.
So I'm gonna, when I get back to my my own scanner, I'm gonna pop some stuff in.
Yeah, if you run across some photos that you don't necessarily want to use for your book,
right?
Toss them our way, particularly if they've got some of us, because we use them for the throwback Thursdays. Hang on, Mike.
Right. What do you got there?
Look at this. There's me, Mozzie, and Ed Hendricks.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
Roberta, are you dressed as angels?
You look like bar graphs.
Look at all these. I got all these photos.
Oh my God, that's great.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's
Look
cute.
at you.
I think I got. Here's Eric. There's your boss.
Uh huh. There's Eric. Thanks.
Well, I got all you guys. Check these out. I
Oh,
got to
that's so
post
fun.
these things so you guys can check them out.
Yes,
I think
please.
Yeah.
What?
I want to see when I was thin and had hair.
Look,
I know.
There's Danko.
There's Danko,
Look at that.
yeah.
Danko, look, he doesn't have that hair anymore.
Yeah, keep looking. I think there's Mickey with hair.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm looking for Roberta. I know I had you in here.
Oh, I hid a
I
lot.
might have Dave in here too.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that hid.
Yes.
I remember seeing there was a posted video of the Malibu where we had a like a summer party or a Christmas party or something that was online. And I remember going through and I'm like, there I am. I'm right there.
Yeah. Well, there's another. Yeah, there's one of we had chili cook-offs. Remember those?
Right. Well, if we'd had cell phones back then, we'd have like 10,000 pictures of everything we'd ever eaten.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah.
People just didn't take pictures.
No.
Did you get the link, Roll?
I
did.
Something came through.
I
in the
can't
private
put
chat.
it. Yeah, in the private chat, I can't put that on the. Well, yeah, maybe I can. Hold on, let me try this.
It's got to copy and paste it, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm giving
Or
it a
could I
shot
just
now.
play
There's the link to
and
that.
share it?
You need to get a teenager to help you, Roland.
No, I think maybe I gotta. Maybe that didn't work.
Maybe ask Reddit.
Well, the thing that I thought that was the greatest about that is that the coloring department was obviously the hugest bunch of people in the place, but man, it was just one big family.
Yeah,
awesome.
You're talking about chili cook-offs and going out to the Sagebrush Cantina after work and all that stuff. I mean, we had so much fun. That was like
the best time of life.
And there was a softball team, and
Yep.
there was a volleyball team, and there was
bowling. We bowled for a while.
Yeah. I think I've even got my trophy around here somewhere.
Speaking of
I think what we're
bowling,
learning is that Mike Giles has everything.
I do. I saved it all.
Speaking of bowling, Mike, do you remember? I remember specifically at night sitting there in my cubicle coloring, and then all of a sudden a bowling ball goes rolling down the aisle because Mike and Stan decided they wanted to bowl down the aisles for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Practicing.
Well, Dave, think about it. We had the Nerf guns going. We had, I mean,
even rubber band wars.
Rubber band wars. It was
and remember all of the desks and all the themes, the NASCAR themes, Bike, Kinzel, and all his statues. I mean, it was.
That video, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
In that video that they were talking about, there's Stephen Fahey took the video.
That's right.
And that's what he did. He walked by all those offices. You'll see him in the thing.
There's another one you can look up on YouTube. It's when Lita Ford visited the offices.
Right.
Yeah,
That's fun.
and that's got some really good shots of the coloring department. I think she they talked to Charlene, I think. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think it was Charlene, and they watch Charlene color a little bit of the one of the Lita Ford pages, but then there's some good, panoramic shots of the office there with Lita Ford. It's on Lita Ford, but you can see the stuff.
I'd like to see that. That
was the thing. That was the thing that I really enjoyed about the company was that people could come to the office, and basically interrupt the colorist today and watch their stuff get made.
Yeah,
because there wasn't a place in comics at that point where you could go and watch that stuff happen, and suddenly, we've got dozens of people doing that stuff.
Well, we had people like Sergio Aragonis sitting there in the middle of all the colors signing books.
Right?
It's crazy. Like Howard Chaykin would be hanging out sometimes. I had Stan Lee sitting in my office after the Marvel thing came about, and we would talk about Excalibur and all this stuff he wanted to do. And I had had a Spider-Man book, an old one, sitting behind me the whole time. I was like, I want him to sign it, but I never asked him to. And now I'm like, oh, should have. But
I went out to dinner with him once, and
I was there.
Were you at the big dinner?
Yeah.
And I wanted to get my photo taken with him, but at the same time, I didn't want to ask to get the photo taken with him because I thought, oh, there'll be tons more chances for me to get my photo taken with Stanley, and I never did. And that's the thing that I regret, because I would love a 1995 photo of me and Stan.
Well, do you remember going to the convention in San Diego, and he was there, and we were, I don't know if you were, but a bunch of us were hanging out because I had to do a portfolio review. Right. We hired some people there, but Stan was like next to us, and he was signed, or, close, and he was signing autographs, and there was a line that went way out the back door or whatever it was of the San Diego Comic-Con. And then I had like 8 people. But we were walking out, and I was walking with him, and it took him 2 hours to get, what would have been a 5-minute walk, because everybody wanted his, but he was the nicest guy. He never said no.
Right.
He's like, he was smiling and happy, glad to see
the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah, he was really good at what he did.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as the coloring department goes, Roland, we worked up to 120 people.
Yeah.
And I think, we had some really, really incredible artists working on that. That went on to go do bigger and better things,
Right.
And I mean, when you think about all the stuff, I mean, like, I went into animation after that, and most of the people that were working with me in our coloring department also went on that path. And like, people, these studios would be calling me, like, wanting everybody, because Margot Pitkin from Klasky Chupo called up, and she's the Rugrats and all that stuff, and she said how come all your people are looking for jobs? And I said, well, we're getting laid off. Marvel's laying us all off. And I had 120 people to let go in 6 months. So basically, 20 people a month.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got rid of the first 20 that were a pain in my butt the first month. and then I just kept telling people, I said, go out,
find a job.
Find you something, because you're going to get laid off. Yeah.
You get your severance, and that little by little, we just kind of worked our way out. But anyway, the point is that I think that the talent pool that we had at Malibu / eventually Marvel was so incredible. I mean, Lydia flew to Ireland. I flew to Ireland.
Jennifer Schellinger flew to Ireland.
Schellinger did. Yeah, she was incredible.
Who is a marine biologist today, by the way?
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yes.
And I think Albert Calleros became a director on American Dad.
Yeah, he
and the Seth MacFarlane shows.
I went over to Rough Draft for a while, and Albert was there, and we were working on Futurama.
Right.
And then he moved on to he was assistant director, I think, at that point. And then, he moved on up to become a director. But I mean, you think about what the people have done.
Yeah.
From that
whole company, I think. If you look at it, it's. And this is why I've told Tom privately, but I think he and Chris and Scott and Dave did a fantastic job assembling a very good group of talented folks that 99% of them were so easy to get along with.
Well,
and then there was me.
Well, because you're you didn't tap out early enough. But
I can chime in there that some of the things that I think are really important about it is that not only were people talented, but they were all like really excited about the work. When they found something new, they'd share it with each other. And that collaboration I've never seen anywhere else.
Yeah.
No. And
it's fantastic.
It just snowballed, man. I mean, we got better and better to a point that I didn't think anybody was going to ever beat us. I didn't think we could ever close down. I was just like, man, why would we?
Yeah, no,
because
I thought
so good.
You never know.
I thought it would become its own company at that point. I thought at some point, everybody will just go, we should just do our own thing, make our own company.
I tried.
Yes,
So-
you had. I remember your pitch for how to basically how to keep everybody employed and how to keep everything going was to go out and do all the Malibu books, do all the Marvel books, but then go out and sell services.
And I did.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was, Tom, all you guys probably remember when Marvel came in prior to purchasing Malibu.
Right.
It was all secret, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And do you remember the front office there up by reception? People would go up there and then they'd be escorted out. And they brought me in, and it was Gene Durante and a couple execs from Marvel, and I knew Gene from the Comic Cons, and or I knew who he was, and he brought me in, sat me down. I felt like I was in Office Space, right? And I said, I know you. I said, you're from Marvel. And they said they were consultants. And it was just like Office Space, man.
Right.
And I said, no, you're from Marvel. And he's like, oh, how do you know that? I said, I met you at the convention. And Eric Senna and I were both talking about it. And Eric was our sales guy. And they said, give us a minute. And they told me to go out. And I came back in. And he goes, look, you can't tell anybody, that you know me and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right. And I said, what the hell are you doing? And he said, blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of gave me an overview. And I said, are you going to shut us down? Shut down the freaking coloring department? I said, you got the best resource in the world right here. And so he was going to fire me and the whole bunch.
Yes.
And we had like,
time out. Mike. So one of the things, and I know Tom is tired of answering this question.
Yeah.
One of the rumors that has just
I think it is
gone
true.
around the internet, still alive today, is that Marvel bought Malibu for the coloring department.
No,
did I hear you just say they wanted to shut it down?
Because
I'm going to tell you exactly how that happened.
All right.
From the guy who did it. All right. That meeting. They said they didn't say they were going to shut us down, but they were heading that direction, right?
Yeah.
And I said, look, Gene, I said, you've got the top of the line coloring part. You got the equipment, you've got the trained personnel, you got everything going for you. I said, there's no reason we can't be doing your books too. And at the point, I didn't know. I thought they were just going to continue the Ultraverse and everything, and
we did too.
Operate. I thought they honestly thought they were getting rid of like redundant people. Right, like sales teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I flew out to New York like the following week, and went to Marvel. And here, I've never been to New York in my life. At this point, I walk in there with shorts on, just like I was coming to work at Malibu. I got like a Hawaiian shirt and shorts. They're all wearing suits. I'm like,
very old school.
I'll be right back.
I have to meet with Danny Fingeroff. Bob Budiansky. Danny Fingeroff did at the time. I think he had 7 Spider-Man.
All the Spider-Man stuff.
Right.
Bob Budiansky was doing all the X-Men and X everything X, and I don't know, a whole bunch of them.
Bob Harris.
And
Harris.
They made us prove ourselves that we could do it. So I had this whole presentation, and I said, "Look, here's what we can do for you." And Budiansky was the only guy that said no. Everybody else was like, all right. And then I had so everybody left, and I was sitting in there with Bob and like 2 other people. And I said, what the fuck's your problem? Right. And he said, look, he goes, I've got the top of the line stuff. I want to look the best. And I said, I'll tell you what, give them to me.
They were still at that point coloring it the old way.
Right. And he wanted to go to what's the guy's name? The top cow guy, Mark
Silvestri.
He wanted to go to Silvestri for it. And I said, I'll tell you what, you pit me up against this guy right now. And I think I forget who I put on it, but I brought it back and we did samples, and we ended up doing all but Gen X, I think.
Because didn't y'all do like you turned around a book like overnight or something like that?
Yeah. So my memory is and I'm not sure where this fits in with what you're saying, but my memory is that Grunwald had a late book, like a Captain
Yeah.
America issue, and Marvel was at a point where they were gonna like 3 strikes. It goes in your personnel folder, and late books were gonna be a strike.
Yeah.
And Grunwald called up and said, I can't send it to Ireland. I can't send it out. It's not going to get turned around in time. I'm going to get a late book. And he called Chris and said, what can you guys do that? And Chris talked to you, and then Captain America came to you, and you guys turned it around over a weekend, like a 24-page book over a weekend. And that proved to all the naysayers that you could
look good.
Yeah. And you forgot. I forgot about that. Yeah. We totally
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of us stayed
because
out.
that was the thing because I remember Grunwald.
Yeah,
it's essentially going around the Marvel offices later, going like, "I got my book on time, send it to Malibu, got my book on time," and then I think Carl Potts called up like the next week and said, "I got a late book," and then the other guys started to call up and go, "I got a late book," and then so that was more. Everything just sort of started rolling back in, and then it was harder for Malibu to shut us down for coloring,
right?
When all the Marvel editors were like trying to catch up.
Well, and that's exactly what happened because we would turn around a book on a normal schedule within 4 days.
Yeah.
Right.
And that'd be a 22 page book, and but we could do it in like a shift, like 8 hours.
Right. If you had to.
Because you had so many people working, everybody took a page, knocked it out. That kind of
right. And that's also why we
a couple pages.
I tried to keep people that had similar styles together.
Yeah.
And then so the thing I think that really took us over the top was at the beginning, like I said, I was originally hired for $7.25 an hour. And we were paying hourly. And I went to Gene Durante, who was my boss at Marvel, and I said, look, man, I said, if you want to get this stuff done and done right and done well and make the people care, we're going to have a pay scale. And so we had bronze, gold, platinum, silver levels. I think the bronze day wasn't that $50 a page?
No,
bronze was
that was actually
15.
$15 a page, 30, 45, and then like 60, I think was the rate.
Okay, yeah. And so like Schellinger would grab a whole book and she'd spend a weekend doing it, because she wanted to make a couple $100,
Right. It was freelance. That was her freelance stuff, right?
That was her freelance stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, we were able to farm them out that way. And so people wanted to do it, and like people were, I was telling people they couldn't come in to do overtime because we didn't have a computer for them.
Right. So my understanding is, sorry, Roland, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
My understanding is that Marvel wanted to move all the coloring to Ireland and basically shut down the Marvel stuff, ship all the computers to Ireland, because Marvel had a sweetheart deal where the guy whose name you were mentioning could go to Ireland free a couple times a year, play some golf, get some steak dinners, stay at a nice hotel, and be like the hero of Marvel's coloring.
Well, that's so our overhead, we're in basically
that's
Malibu,
chapter 5 of the Tom Mason book.
Tom Mason's book.
That's right.
Yeah, there was a guy named Declan Malone, and Declan was he's Graphics Color Works is the name of his company,
right?
And that was in Ireland. And the thing was with Ireland is at the time the economy in Ireland was really, really bad, and so the government was subsidizing any work a company could bring in from Ireland could bring in from outside the country.
Right.
They would basically pay them what the company was paying them. So if they made $50 a page, Ireland would give them $50 a page for the economic development.
Right.
And so you couldn't lose. And so I flew over there to
set the building on fire and flew back.
Yeah, basically. I went in. I got a free vacation to Dublin, and I went.
You're a hitman too. That's cool.
Gave them an overview of what we did, and kind of. I was only there for a week, but I set them up a little bit. But Lydia Nomura had gone over there, like you said. Jennifer Schellinger had gone over there, and but they did it more from an artistic standpoint. I did it more from a structural standpoint, and then they took over and we were done,
Yeah.
Well, we had that. We were originally supposed to have 3 layoff waves?
We had 6.
Okay. Well,
There's a lot more.
I
yeah.
thought it was 3, and I remembered that I was originally, I think I was supposed to be in the second stage or whatever of the 3 I knew of. So I don't know
Well,
how
see,
it went, but
I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, Dave, and that's why. I mean,
uh-huh.
it was supposed to be a big secret,
It's a
and
tough position to be in, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Having that many people.
but it
Right.
was a thing where the work that we were doing, there was originally they didn't like the work, right? So everybody that was in the later waves got pushed into the final wave. So that's how I was at that last those last days in the small office upstairs in this
well,
building.
to be fair, I really didn't want to lay anybody off, obviously, because I think by the time we got to that point, everybody there was good. I mean, it wasn't like we had a lot of dead weight or anything, and so I was really trying to lay people off as they got jobs. And the reason I say there was 6 is because I had to lay off 20 a month, but it didn't exactly. It wasn't like hey, it's the end of the month, 20 of you have to go.
Right.
I think I remember you gave us a little bit of a choice to say, do you want to stay on longer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did. And, as much as I could, I kept everybody as long as I could. But,
be terrible. Yeah.
By December 31st of that year, I had to be done. And
Is that 96?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was only a 4-year run for me.
Yeah.
I just remember at the time that you had mentioned that it was a progression that work was going over to Ireland, but there was issues with quality, I think, at the startup. So you were saying that a lot of the editors wanted to move the books back. And they had already laid off a big chunk of my people.
The editors
I can't handle
I thought the editors wanted to move things back, but the Marvel corporate was like, no.
Right. And that's when, there were some of, I think maybe Dave, you were part of this, but a bunch of you came to me and said, like, why can't we just start our own business? And the truth is that I tried, and I just wasn't a businessman. I didn't know how to do that, I mean, I didn't know, like that part of the structure. And, eventually I just got offered a great job and I took it. But I just didn't know what else to do at that point. And we were like 34 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Malibu's a young company. One of the things too that sometimes gets missed is when all those Marvel books started coming in. Part of the problem that we had is that, and when I say we, I mean the Malibu side of it, is that they began to bump us. I remember at one point in time having a book that was ready to go and it was on the schedule and being told, we can't color your book this week. And I was like, well, why not? So, well, I got to color this Marvel book. I'm like, but no, you're Malibu. You need to color our books and let them go somewhere else. And I had to go out of house to get
Did you?
Toward the end, several of the books colored.
Wow.
Oh, was that lack of staff, etc.?
I think it was lack of time. You guys just didn't have you couldn't get it done on time. And
well, right there at the end,
I didn't like late books.
Yeah, well, and at the end we had around 100 publications a month.
Yeah.
And as people left, it's like, well, what are you going to do?
The numbers still stayed the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, see, I don't think I was there when I think I was already gone when the coloring department started getting, before the coloring department started getting the axe.
Yeah, because you and Hank and Dan and Chadwick were all roughly the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, by the time that happened, we had moved out of our pretty offices, that we all moved to,
right,
to an upstairs area that was just a bunch of cubes. It was awful.
And I never saw that.
I never saw it.
And there was nobody. None of you guys left. It was me, Glenn, and then all the colors. And
most of the editorial was gone by then.
So who was in charge of the company then? Was it Marvel?
Yeah, but I was
who at Marvel was telling you what to do?
I was in charge of the LA area, you know, that
Right.
office. But
Yeah, who was your boss?
Who
my
did you
boss
report
was
to?
Gene Durante and Allison Gill.
Okay.
Now did Senna still there? Because I know he answered to Gene Durante.
Senna was not there at that
He was
point.
not there.
No, Senna was gone too, because Senna had worked for the reason why Senna knew that the company was for sale to Marvel, because he worked for Gene Durante before he worked for Malibu.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he knew when he saw Gene Durante coming into the office, he's running in going, I know that guy.
Well, and
Right,
he's the one that told me, and
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I met that guy too. You know,
Senna's the one that told me as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Royal Airship says smart looking crew tonight. Thank you.
It's because I took a shower.
Tom took a shower. He's in LA. He has hot water there now. Well,
right.
we have talked an awful long time about this. We could probably ask you a lot more questions, but before we completely run out of time, Mike, you got a new thing going on. What are you doing now? What can you tell folks about this cool venture you have?
All right, that's the new thing. So I went off when I left Malibu. I went off and I worked in animation. Went on to Futurama and a bunch of TV shows, Wild Thornberry, stuff like that. And through the course of that time, I moved across the country back here to Indiana. And with my new marriage and my new exciting world moving on, we started up 6 months ago, a toy company called Chicka Chaka Toy. It's M&M funky stuff. It's me and Melissa. Melissa, if you're watching, come in and say hi. Melissa and I started up this company. It's based on a toy that I made for my kids when they were little.
Nice.
Let's see it.
All right. So this is Chicka Chaka. And it's real simple. It's an action-based free play game for little guys. Basically, it's super simple. They roll the game. Whatever animal comes up, they act out the animal. When Chicka Chaka comes up, there's a little dance. They all yell, Chicka Chaka, yo, 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 Chicka Chaka, go, go, go. And we took this thing up. We came up with this business about 5 months ago, put the whole thing together, went to the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, had real good reaction. If you go to our website, it's chickachakatoy.com. You can kind of see the Chicka Chaka Toy. Just add a .com to it there under my name. And we've got kids playing. We got little licensed songs and stuff that go with it. And that's our new venture. We're pushing forward this coming year.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That is very
Good
cool.
luck.
That's my son.
Special comment here.
He likes this. He got this shirt for me.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a real convenience store.
Yes.
It is a convenience store name.
I was out visiting. We were out visiting Ben and this last spring, and we got the shirts. Come in, Melissa.
So for those of you who
was Piggly Wiggly out of shirts?
Says
Melissa.
Ben Giles says, great podcast, guys. Love the shirt also, Dan.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you again.
Hi, Ben. I did wear this for you, Ben. I was hoping you'd be watching tonight.
What I like about the toy is you can play it anywhere.
It is. It's real easy. It's a lot of fun for the kids. We got it's if you watch the videos on our website, it's hilarious because here you get the 60-year-old guy jumping around with all these little kids at the comic conventions, and I swear to God, I was going to have a heart attack. But it's for little kids on up. We also had my 80-year-old parents there at the convention playing the game with us. So this is a whole new thing.
Nice.
It's super easy. It's super simple. It's a lot of fun. The kids go crazy for it. We throw it out in groups of kids, and they all go nuts. It's a good thing. If you got 2-year-olds on up, go to the website and put in a little message to us. We'll give you a discount.
What is the website, Mike?
It's chickachakatoy.com.
Chicka.
A great name.
You gonna put it in the comments?
I am about to. Here we go. I'm about to share the screen. I think I'm about to share it.
Here, look. While you're doing that,
Not it.
this out.
Oh, look at that.
There you
This
go.
is
Yeah.
a journey. A
Art department manager.
Oh, there you go.
The Marvel version.
You saved everything.
And I got it all, baby.
He saves everything.
I got it all.
Oh,
I like
that's
that.
cool.
I like the Chicka Chaka logo.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
There's
It
the-
is.
You still have your Happy Giles poster you had
Well,
posted on your door?
Which one's that?
The Happy Giles?
There's the website. Happy Giles. No.
I was gonna say you don't
But-
have anything like that.
Dave, you
So-
remember my surf poster from the beach?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I got that on the
chalkboard.
wall right here.
The chalk.
Nice.
It's like a little Malibu office in here. I've even still got the here, Dave, you'll remember this.
I'm trying to promote his new toy, and he's still flashbacking.
Look, Dave, remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Make them
Put it up
bigger.
there
I
again.
can't.
Put it up there again.
What's that?
We didn't see it. Oh.
Oh, wow. Yep.
This was on my desk the whole time during the Clinton era. No, okay. Thank you, Roland, for promoting the toy. Yeah, Chicken Chaka toy. We were on TV. There's the kids playing when we went on TV. We've been selling the game here for about 3 months, and it's going real well. We've got it in some local shops around here. Coming up in the new year, we're going to be getting distributorships all across the country. We'll probably be getting on some of the bigger venues like Amazon and that kind of thing. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Nice. It looks
Oh yeah,
great.
we got them in museums now.
That's fantastic.
Little by little, we're getting some momentum going with this thing.
So
And, it's really going
if someone
well.
listening wants to order it, can they just come and order it directly from your shop?
Yeah, that's actually probably the easiest way
Probably.
right now. Go to the shop part, and the game's right there on the first page. Actually, yeah, go to the shop right there.
My link's not working.
Oh, it's not working?
Hold on. No.
Oh, no.
And Roland needs help.
I do not. I can click a button.
I don't know.
I'm going to post this on Reddit and see if we can't get some help for you.
Yeah, we would love it. We're trying to get all the exposure we can right now. We're based in Indianapolis, and we did prior to Christmas. We did all the local television shows. That's what the Fox 59 and the Channel 8 show is.
Right.
And Melissa and I went on and promoted the game on there. The crazy thing is, since we did this, just the two of us, we had to find our own manufacturers. We'd not been into the toy industry before. And so this is all new for us. So we went to this convention, but we only had 200 units of this toy to sell.
Right.
And we were a little nervous about it right around Christmas. And just maybe a month ago, we got a whole bunch more. So order them up, man. We're ready to go.
Nice.
These things.
That's
But
great.
Ben, I don't know if you're still listening, Ben, but he's the original Chicka Chaka kid. We actually called it a different name back then, but that wasn't licensable. So, so we switched it over to Chicka Chaka. But Ben and his sister Chloe were the original kids I made this game for. And it was basically, we were living in California. It was a rainy day, which never happens. And we were all bored, and the kids were driving me nuts. And I had them draw these pictures. We put it on this box. We started throwing it around. Next thing you know, we're playing it at parties, play dates, all that kind of stuff. And Melissa and I decided, this is such a good thing. Let's see what we can do with it. And it's going really well. So I appreciate
other board parents would like it.
giving me the plug.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I saw you when I saw you saw some of your videos, I guess over Christmas, and I'm like, cool, look at it, you got a toy going. I'm like, and we've been talking anyway. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get some more Malibu folks on to come and talk about, because a lot of the folks who watch our streams are they like our books, but they're also interested about a lot of the older the Malibu stories. So I'm like, I'm just gonna start inviting. So I thought about you, like, hey, you could talk about your tour.
Hey, you know what? I got so many stories. You bring me back, man.
I'll bring you back. You will come back.
I'll talk too much probably.
Save some for my book though.
There you go.
Not everything.
Just saying.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
All right.
Yeah. So save the juicy stuff for the book.
Well, there probably is some juicy stuff.
Probably so.
Start digging a little bit.
We'll poke at your memory.
So, Mike, one
I
thing
hope
that I
so.
mentioned to these guys about, and they kind of looked at me like, huh, was your affinity at the time. I don't know if you're still doing it, but your affinity for Pyramid Hefeweizen.
Oh, I love
Oh,
that. Yeah.
That was
What?
his thing.
That was his thing back at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
He loved that.
Dave, so much so that I am not drinking anymore. I was big into the Hackershore, the Pyramid Hefeweizens, and I remember Chris Young, who worked with us all. I was over at his house one time, and he said, "Man, you are just a beer and sausage kind of guy," and that's about the best way to peg me back then. That's how it was. That's actually how Melissa and I met. I was the bartender; she was my cocktail waitress way back at Purdue back in the old days. So
Really?
yeah,
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
We met in the late '80s.
So when you were in Malibu, then, because Southern California is not really a beer and sausage kind of place,
right?
So what?
Yeah.
How did you survive?
I'll tell you. Well, see, that's the thing. When I moved to California, the day I moved to California was the first time I had been west of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's a whole nother story. But that was my first wife, and she was a scientist. She got a job at Amgen, which was in Newbury Park.
Right.
And but we weren't married. She just said, "Hey, do you want to go?" And I figured, what the hell? I go out to California. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go home. But it worked out. So, I came out there and I loved it. Look, there goes Ben. It's an awesome boy. Love you, Dad.
That's right.
Hey, Ben. Here, wait.
All right, we got to have Mike Giles back on.
There
Yes.
There he is.
There's little baby Ben.
I bet he doesn't look like that anymore.
No.
No, he doesn't.
Not with him leaving the YouTube comments here.
No, Ben is a grown up in Colorado now, and wait,
Nice.
I'm gonna see if I can. Ben, I hope you don't mind. I'll see if I can put a picture of you up here. Ben took us out, showed us Estes Park and all this stuff, and he's living the life, man. He's got it made out there in Colorado. I don't know. I'll find a picture sometime. But yeah, I've got two kids. I don't know if you remember, Roland. We had a daughter, Chloe, too. And also the other thing I wanted to do, you guys were making fun of me for having everything. I don't know where it is, but Roland, when in 1994 the Northridge earthquake hit.
Yeah. Oh, you have a piece of the plate.
I have a memento from your house, and I just couldn't find it before we got on the show here.
Wow.
But I will find it. BJ, your wife, gave it to us.
Yep.
And it's a little cherub, like a little porcelain cherub thing. And she signed it 94 Northridge earthquake because we went over to Roland's house after that earthquake, and it was gone. There was nothing. What were they? They would let like two of us in at a time to get your stuff out?
Well, so technically yes, but because BJ worked there, we all got in.
Right, because I remember there were a lot of us in there at the time.
Yes, there's a bunch of us.
But it was
there's Big Ben now.
All right.
Nice. He looks like you.
Yeah.
He's got more hair.
Yeah, he does.
Who doesn't really? None of us have hair anymore. The thing I remember is that, and again, memory is a tricky thing, but I remember all of Roland's things had basically been moved to the middle of the apartment.
Yeah.
And there's nothing on the walls, and you basically walked around in a big rectangle and tried to pick out stuff that still has survived.
Yeah.
Well, I remember walking in and like his dressers were like upside down.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was scary.
It was crazy.
Surreal.
Yeah. I still tell people to this day, it's probably a good thing that I couldn't leave town, because I might have left town and not come back, because the ground shaking like that just ain't.
Yeah, because I remember not being
You
at all
can outrun
sympathetic.
hurricanes over here.
No, it's funny, Tom, since you've joined us, your name has sort of come up a little more in the household here. And the one thing BJ still says is, I will never, ever forget the fact that Tom opened up his home to us, just said, you guys come in and stay. And we needed a place to stay because we didn't have a home.
Right.
And Tom, I think you had a spare bedroom, and
I had a 3-bedroom house. So
Yep.
it was, the thing is that, because it's funny because I would do that for you, but also I didn't understand. I mean, I wasn't sympathetic to your terror of the ground.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because to me, it's no different than hurricanes in Florida or tornadoes in Oklahoma. It's just
no.
It's the cost of living, and so that stuff never doesn't faze me.
But see, that's also exactly what Malibu was all about. Roland stayed with Tom.
Absolutely.
I remember moving Tom into that house you're talking about.
That's right.
And moving you out of that one in Northridge. I mean, we all were like one family, man.
We also moved Eric's son out of his apartment when it was crashed by the thing, and he was on like the 5th floor. So it was And we had two aftershocks while we were up there trying to unload his stuff, and you could see his apartment was just going to go. Woo.
Oh.
Yeah. I know Tom's probably the only one in the group who remembers this. When I first moved out there, I slept on Chris Holmes' couch.
Yeah.
So I was probably on Chris Holmes' couch for a couple of months, I think. And
did he have cats or rabbits at that time?
He had cats.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was
you had a mullet.
Yes, I did.
That was my favorite look.
Hey, I rocked that mullet, man.
hey, Tom, do you remember Show Me the Money?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my God.
Roland doesn't want direct deposit. He wants cash in hand.
I want cash in hand.
Roland doesn't trust money that comes over electronically into the bank account.
No.
I still don't trust it. I want you to put that money in my hand. Let me see it.
Oh my God.
You were so hot, man. That was
funny because I don't remember being that high, but
No, you were
hot, not high, hot. Like man.
Yeah, you were definitely upset about the thing because it was like you're a guy who wants a check on Friday and you want to go to the bank and deposit it into your account so you can actually see the money go in.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not signing up for direct deposit. No. I want to see my money.
Cash in hand.
Cash in hand. I want cash in hand. Panicha used to.
Oh my goodness.
Panicha had a great Roland Man impression.
Oh,
Roland
there's another great story. We took Panicha out for that bachelor party in Vegas. Remember that?
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, you have to save that.
We put Robert Conti masks on and kidnapped him and threw him in that van. Remember that? That was nuts. Yes,
I remember you guys. I think I remember you guys taking him out. I didn't go with you, but I think I remember you guys putting him in the van.
Yeah, we rented a gray child molester van and threw him in the back and drove to Vegas. That was nuts because he remarried. That's when he married Renee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
good
crazy.
friends to have.
All right, so Mike, you know you come back, right?
I would love to come back.
I've got one question. I got one question, and it's the one that Roland knows that I always give everybody from Malibu that comes in. The one question, other than the cash in hand, other than the cash in hand thing, I need to know your most embarrassing Roland Man story, real quick. Besides the cash in hand, because that's kind of embarrassing. I don't know if you can.
Well, the cash in hand is my favorite. That's Roland.
But I know that for a fact now because whenever I need to give Roland some money, he's like, "Give me the cash. I don't want to."
I just have this vision of Roland. We're standing at this meeting, and Roland's got this humongous hair going down the back of his head, and his face is red, and he's saying, "I want cash in hand." Cash in hand. Roland, you had an accent back then that you don't have as bad now.
That's true.
I think we all did probably. And but that was my main memory.
Okay.
That
All right.
and the earthquake.
Wow.
I mean, that wasn't embarrassing. That was just.
So I don't think this is embarrassing. It's more, is it sort of admirable? Is that Roland is a guy who could meet any number of famous people and he would still be Roland.
Yes.
Like you put him next to Lita Ford, you put him next to anybody else who's really super famous, and Roland's like, hey, how you doing? It's just, he's completely on now. Whether he's internalizing this and he's going crazy inside, I don't know. But on the exterior, he's just like, they're just like regular people to him.
Yeah.
Well,
That's cool.
That's the beauty of being from the South, man. You are
Hey, man.
you are a genuine person.
My football coach used to tell me, hey, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do.
That's right.
Yeah, but Lita Ford had leather pants.
She did. Yeah.
And high heels. Yeah.
And she wore her leather pants much better than I wore mine.
And,
Yeah.
Not with your long hair.
I don't need that picture in my head, Roland. Just saying.
Retro says, thanks for the chat, everyone. Love to hearing about everything. I could spend months listening and chatting with the Malibu Cruise. Well, Retro, do I have some exciting news for you?
Oh, no.
Because let me get my calendar up here. Next week, we have none other than the hold on here. We have none other than Malibu President Scott Rosenberg, who's going to come on and talk to us. So we're going to get, like we did with Mike, we're going to get hopefully Scott's origin story, find out how he got into comics and how he went from being, I would assume so, because I've heard about Scott's collection, go from a collector to a business person to being the owner of Malibu Comics. And
he was a real fan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, he was.
He definitely was.
So that'll be exciting to hear how you go from being a fan to being the president of a publishing company, and then of course he went on to do for Malibu, went on to Platinum, and so we're gonna get Scott's story. Hopefully he'll have some good Malibu stories as well. Maybe he'll have some on Tom and Chris and Dave.
Oh, I'm sure. I am certain that he does.
So Retro, be sure to tune in with us next week. And in fact,
on that one.
Please do. And in fact, Retro, I have been talking to Chris Ulm, who was the editor-in-chief, and he's agreed to come on, as well as Kirk Patterson, who was the one of our accountants. So we're going to get all kind of good inside money scoop from Kirk. Kirk was also our softball coach.
Yes.
So,
and he's very competitive, as I recall.
Oh, extremely competitive. Yeah. Because we had Tom, did you ever join us for the Saturday morning basketball games?
No, because I
don't think.
I mean, look at me. I'm not an athlete. No.
Well, Tom, look around the company. We were just out there to play basketball and have some get some exercise. Madness says meeting famous people is no big deal for me. Z-Rock taught me how to do that at a young age. Not sure who Z-Rock is, but that sounds pretty good. Well, let me cue my any final thoughts, Mike. Well, I am going to talk to you. We'll get you on again and tell you some more. Get you to tell us some more secrets.
I'd love to do that. I'll tell you the truth, man. I'm glad to see all you guys, and Roberta and Dave. Great to see you guys again too. I've
So
talked
good to see you
over the years, and I don't know. Do you guys? What about Dave Oldbridge? You know, he might be a good one to add.
Yep. He said Z-Rock was radio station, met a lot of rockers. Okay.
Now the hell with Dave.
Dave's got that show. I've talked to him.
Yeah, the Geek View Tavern Show.
Yep.
Yeah. We're Tom's
on that show too.
Yeah. We're gonna get everybody. We're gonna get all the Malibu folks and get all the secrets. I've actually talked to Benicia. I'm not sure Benicia can come on.
He needs permission, doesn't he?
I think he needs permission. Yeah.
Right.
Because Chadwick I asked Chadwick earlier, and Chadwick couldn't come on until after he left DC.
He was Marvel, right?
Paniche's with Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, because he's been doing.
He's like a
X-books.
senior editor or something. He's high up in the hierarchy.
Yeah, he's high up. Yeah. So I can't get out of here. I forgot to mention Tuesday and Wednesday. So Tuesday, these guys, you'll be able to join Dave and Tim and Cassisi and Jose. These guys are going to have a special guest, Kevin West. Kevin, of course, is no stranger to Silverline. He's been on our shows before. He's worked for companies like Heavy Metal, Wildstorm, Acclaim, Marvel, DC, and of course Malibu. That'll be Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the Whammers are going to, their show is titled A Cover Up, and they're going to review a bunch of Silverline covers. They're going to take you from the pencils to the inks to the colors to the final product and just kind of review them. One of my favorite things that the Whammers have done, so they're going to do that Wednesday. And of course, this coming Sunday, next week, we're going to have Scott Rosenberg. And until next time, always remember to
Make
mine.
mine.
All right, good night, everyone.
Also, make mine check a toy.
That's right. Make mine Mike, hang on until after it's over. We'll talk to you a little bit
All right.
here. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hi, my name is Paul Kupperberg. Make mine Silverline.